Hey everybody, Laura and Steph here for our third episode of our Q&A series of INBODY. So welcome. Hi Laura.
Hello. Hi, Steph. It feels good to be here. It's nice.
Hi. So today's topic is, I would say, a juicy one. We had a really good question come in. So instead of paraphrasing, I'm going to speak it verbatim. So here we go. Let's just jump right in. With all that is going on in the world, I feel there is a constant bombardment of information coming from everywhere that's negative and emanating from unlimited sources, leading me into the red zone so much of the day. The green zone has become hard for me to reach. I imagine the state of the world might be affecting many of us. So, how do we find our way back to the green zone? It's a really great question. And I also just want to have a side note of yes, this person is talking about the state of the world, but I want to also expand it out to just challenging times in general. So it doesn't have to just be the state of the world. It's just challenging times in general. How do we find our way back to the green zone? So the first thing that comes up to me is just normalizing the fact that when we encounter something a little bit out of our training zone, that's a little bit more challenging or a lot more challenging, that it's normal to be in the red zone. So we're going to be there more often. The second thing is this is really a call for you to come back home to yourself. So events or situations or circumstances that happen is almost a call for us to come back home. So just like, the pandemic for much of the world was also a call to come back home. And what do I mean by that? I mean that instead of looking at how to influence the outside world, it's how can we tend to our inside world? And so for me, shifting our awareness and our focus of going back to how can we master the art of ourselves by tending to the inside out. So I'll just stop there and see what thoughts you have, Laura.
Yes, this question is a big one. It really resonates with me about what happens when we're encountering adversity, challenge, difficulty. Some of it might be really unexpected. So there's a lot of unexpected events occurring right now in people's personal as well as collective lives. And I love what you're saying about the normalization. It's like it would be strange if we didn't have a response. And it would be odd if we didn't have a strong response. But I was talking with a client earlier, I was on a call, and we were talking about self abandonment and how easy it is to forget ourselves and what we need in times of great stress. So when we're feeling panicked or in chaos or in crisis or something really unexpected has just completely knocked us for six and we're absolutely off center, it's so easy to forget ourself in it and respond, as you were saying earlier, to the external and just go, let me fix it. Let me fix it. What can I do? I need to go into solutions focus mode. And it's not to say that that's not important, but it's also to say that you cannot abandon yourself. And that means that you have to get back to your center. It means that you have to reconnect with your wisdom self.
Yeah. And so by doing that, again, strengthening that awareness and focus muscle to help us tap back into our wisdom self amongst the challenge is really important. So when I think about awareness, start to pay attention to when you get triggered. What are you doing? Are you blaming? Are you criticizing? Are you judging? What activities are you doing as a strategy to control your situation? And it's not that you don't have to judge yourself or blaming, judging, and criticizing. It's more of recognizing that, oh, the scared part of me is creating a self-soothing strategy in the form of blame or judge or criticize. So it's just a way to self-soothe, but there's other ways that we can do that. And that's what we're being called to do, to build our own resilience of, hang on a minute, what else can I do here? It feels safe to externally put my focus, but actually, what other strategy can I do to self-soothe? Just like you're saying, so that you don't abandon yourself.
Yeah, I'm thinking as you're speaking about, hey, what works for me? What works for me? And you and I were talking about this the other day where we were talking about how do you back away from the cliff edge? What do you do? How do you take that one tiny step back away from the cliff edge when you feel like if I go further, if I read one more news report, or if I get one more piece of bad news, or if I have one more difficult conversation with someone, I am going to lose it and I'm going to tumble headlong into the pit. So, what do we need to do to kind of take that little step back so we can get more breathing room, more spaciousness? And I think for me, it's always about being outside, fresh air, nature, connecting with other living beings, be they plants, animals, other people who might be having a better day. It just, there's something for me about not being isolated. So that gives me that little bit of spaciousness and connection, and I can reconnect and come home, back home to myself.
I love that. And so, what we're talking about here, everybody, is going back to basics. So, when things get really tough, we tend to lose our center and we need to go back to basics and almost double down on it. So, I also connect with nature and go outside and want to connect with people. But sometimes I just need my own space and silence with my own breath and focus on, okay, where am I? Where's my energy? What do I need? I start to do a lot of self-inquiry. Like, well, what would happen if I wasn't allowed to have this thought about what's going on? Or what might I need right now to feel more nourished? Or, what could I do for myself that'll increase my safety right now in this moment? It's not about in the weeks upcoming, it's in this moment. Because remember what we're doing, we're trying to show and tell our nervous system that we are okay right now in this present moment. So that's why those okay statements, those acceptance statements can be really powerful here. Even though I feel petrified, I choose to acknowledge that this is where I am. And I'm okay with that in this moment. I'm still safe. So finding different ways to I'm going to keep saying to come back home to ourselves, going back to invite, where is your center? Where might you put your hand on your body? Inquire, where would I put my hand right now if I were to find my center? As soon as we inquire, we become aware. We shift the focus from what's going wrong and but what if and the stories of the mind, and we drop down into the body.
Yes. And it got me thinking what you were just saying there about finding an anchor. It's really feels like it can be a game changer in some ways to just know, I know I can rely on this. So for me, it's usually grounding, actually. I find myself going back to invite a lot within the program. So I just, I'm like a homing pigeon. I just go right back into invite. I kind of like doing scaling sometimes. Oh, look, I'm like a 0.5. Oh, great. But it can bring a bit of lightness. It can bring some spaciousness. At least I know where I stand. And so, yeah, I hear you, Steph. You go maybe more into the inquiries, the power questions, the okay statements. I tend to go into invite, I really get into maybe a bit more kind of guided meditations because that way I feel like I'm getting a little bit of extra support there to help me come back to myself.
Yeah. And so really the key message here is, we're both doing different things. Find something simple. It doesn't have to be in the INBODY program, what you've learned there. It could be just go outside and feel the sun on your face. Remember, when we bring intention to our act, then it increases our chance of calming down our nervous system and getting back into a little bit of parasympathetic, that rest, that calm. Something as simple as sun on your face, or two breaths, or watching something funny. Yeah. So intentionally choose to look for that. Remember, we have a negativity bias. So we're always, especially when our limbic system is triggered from fear or whatever, vulnerability, safety, we're always going to look for the threat. So we want to counteract that by looking for things that make us feel okay, that make us feel safe or nourished or neutral.
Yes. Um, the other day, the other day I went to a music concert and I really loved it because it was right towards the end of the concert. It was a great concert. This guy was radiating just pure joy. And he made a couple comments at the end of the set where he said, "You know what? It's been really tough for me. It's been really tough for some people that I love, and these are really tough times." So we just fully acknowledge like people are flipping out, they're sad, they're upset, they're really angry. It is just pure mayhem out there. And then he said, switch gears. And then he said, "But tonight, this is all about connecting with the joy of being alive. So let's do that together." And I thought, okay, that got me really, really thinking about present moment. Like when things get really crazy and really upsetting and really traumatizing, triggering, all of that. If you can reconnect to just the joy of the present moment of being alive, it can make a lot of difference.
Well, what you're really saying, I love that. And I love what he did, because what he did at the concert was demonstrate how you can take your power back. Because what I was saying, these strategies of self-soothing, which are good intention, but we then blame or criticize, or we're looping in our mind trying to figure out what can we do? What can we do? They're just misguided. Those are bleeding your power out. Yeah. So how can we take our power back? And that was a beautiful example of stepping back into your power. You can feel the difference. I know I can. And so really at the end of the day, what we're saying here is there is no magic secret pill to how can I get more into the green zone in challenging times. It takes practice and intention and allowing ourselves to develop that muscle to be able to still access our wisdom self while feeling the uncomfortableness of something challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about kind of empowerment. What does it mean to take our power back? And I suppose, when times get really, really difficult, that is the biggest call of all. Of like, well, this is where the rubber meets the road, as it will. And there's something there for me about really connecting in, coming back into alignment. I am no good to myself or to anyone else if I abandon myself right now and I don't work on the basics of my nervous system, of safety, of moments of joy, because that's going to strengthen me, that's going to sustain me, that's going to bring power back to me. It's not going to, yeah, I can go binge like 10 hours of Netflix. I have done that before. It makes me feel good for, yeah, exactly. You and I both, we've done it together. And yeah, okay, it has its function, but it's not replenishing me. And so I guess for me, I always have to remember what is going to replenish, what's going to bring me something good in return. And it's not easy to do. when you're freaking out.
No, we're not saying any of this is easy by any means, but we're just inviting everybody to just bring their awareness up a little and shift their focus. Let go of things that don't serve you. Yeah. So if you're engaging in strategies that you might realize don't feel light or your inner yes in your system, see if you can let them go or reduce it, and then see how you can grow and start to take in actively and consciously and intentionally those things that might make you feel good in that moment. So I hope this was helpful for all of you. And like we said, this isn't an easy topic, and we don't want to brush anything under the rug. And we want to help you step back into your power.
Yes, we do.
So on that,
Yes. Yeah, on that.
yeah,
Hmm.
on that, thanks so much, Laura, for your sharing today. Really love that concert bit. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
We'll see you all again soon. Bye for
All right,
now.
bye.